One. Thanks for joining us. This is live with Miami's Community News, and our guest is Francis Reaves, who happens to be an attorney. And today we're going to have an ADD, all right, 30 minutes. All
okay,
right?
ADD.
So, yeah, ADD. So we're going to be jumping all over the place.
All over the place. I like that. Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
And we didn't have to plan that because that happens naturally.
Yeah.
So
That's
Thanksgiving
so true.
is coming up.
It
all right?
is.
And so
It
part
is.
of the question is, what are folks going to be doing, and what does it mean to them and to their children? So let's talk about how people should stay safe.
Well, for sure they should stay safe. I mean, driving here to the studio today, I was listening to one of those shows, and they were just the CDC or FDA or whoever's talking about it the most recently talks about how every time we've had a holiday, 30 days later, you have a surge in coronavirus. And so when you think about Thanksgiving and Christmas, then that means you're taking yourself out of Christmas or Rosh Hashanah or just that whole holiday thing. And so if you're ever, I'm not really vigilant. I put on my mask, I stay 6 feet apart, but I'm doing nothing.
Okay.
I'm staying at home. What are you doing,
Okay,
Michael?
so what's important is that when you listen to these experts talk, it's almost as though they're saying, listen, you guys think that this is a natural phenomenon that's occurring to the globe, and you must do something to participate in it. No, don't do anything.
Right.
We only have to last another 3 months.
That's right.
That's all we have to do.
Right,
There's
depending
light
on your age.
all right? There's light at the end of the tunnel.
No,
all right?
it's true.
And
you're right.
Do you feel a little bit better now that we know that there's going to be some vaccines going to be out pretty soon?
I feel, not only do I feel better because of the vaccines, but what the vaccine does is it just takes all the people who are really, really scared, and there's still some people after 9 months who have barely left their house. And for them, it's like, okay, I can live again now.
Yes.
So I think that's good.
So right now there's 2 vaccines that are out, and the third one's going to come out very, very soon. And I think that it's wonderful,
Right.
Because we can say, gee, we think by summer there's going to be a big difference, all right?
Right.
Maybe sooner,
Right.
I see Jackson's one of the hospitals going to get it, and but certainly by January, which is only 4.5
2 months?
weeks. Right.
Yeah.
All right. I like when they say by the end of the year. You mean next month? What do you mean by the end of the year?
Hello, it's upon us. And who knew, Michael? Who knew when all this started that we'd be here in November
Yep.
still dealing with the coronavirus? I think some of that's because we're Americans and we just think, oh no, we'll wipe this thing out. And we couldn't.
When the recession came, whatever one it was in the
2008, yeah.
I said, don't worry, by Christmas it'll be over. Don't worry. I was only off by a couple digits, like 2008, 2009, 2010.
That took us a while too. That was when from George Bush into Obama, right?
Yes.
That was that election
Yes.
cycle.
So,
Talking about election cycles.
okay, so we just got bumped off of Facebook. So, but since we already, that's okay, because they hear it. But let's talk about the women.
Oh, I see.
It's
Oh,
all right,
okay.
because Facebook has already said, listen, we don't want to do anything political. They don't want political. They don't want social issues or money. We still distribute the videos, but in different ways. But Facebook
Oh.
can either open the nozzle or close it depending on the content.
Oh,
But
I did not know.
since we're already there, thank you very much, Facebook. Let's talk about all the women that in Dade County. All right, we have a brand new mayor.
A brand new mayor,
All right,
Bovo.
congratulations, Mayor Cava. Great
Cava.
job. And then we have for the first time, woman president of Miami-Dade College. All right?
Yes, isn't
From
that
from
exci-
Hialeah. No disrespect for the people in
I
Hialeah.
know, but no, she's a little like Kamala Harris, right? She was that girl who was waiting for the bus.
Yes.
I love those success stories. And what is it if not education?
All right. And then, speaking of education, there are on the Miami-Dade County School Board, there are 9 members and 1 guy. one guy. All right. So anyway,
How did he get on there?
so when you look at it, we interviewed a lot of the people that were running, and there are 3 very young people that are there. All right. And we say that now, 30 years ago, they were all young that were running.
I
right?
know.
That's just the way that works.
That's right.
And so we're really excited that there's a new crop, new young people with ideas, and I like it when the politicians, if I say something that's not correct about them, they come right back and I go, great, congratulations.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, we had an 87% success rate in our endorsements. Yes. Democrat, Republicans, yes, 87%. So, yeah, I know. It was my brother's the maven with that. He's got it figured out. Me, I throw a dart at it. All right. Well, one of the great things that happens when we sit.
I do love how Grant does that, though. He goes out and he shouts, and I love.
People walk up to him and scream at him the same way he screams. Sometimes
I bet he loves that.
Sometimes I'm sitting behind Tommy over there. We thought this was a soundproof room. No, I hear him on the other side over there. So it's just the way that it is. So we're going to get on to some things. But somebody brought up about tattoos. So here's what happened.
Okay.
Yesterday we were interviewing, Christian Rosen Gonzalez was interviewing a anesthesiologist who injects Tommy, can you tell us what that is?
It's a placenta protein.
Okay.
So basically, it tries to mimic, to trick your body into believing there's a fetus inside.
Of you.
It starts to do healing.
I see.
Reinvigorating the cells.
Oh, okay.
So she came over, and she started giving injections to Christine on the air, and so they had an extra 4 vials. So the doc says, "How about you?" And I said, "Okay." So I sat where you are, right there. And I said, "You want me to go get a T-shirt?" "No, but I'll need to get to your shoulders." So I'm trying to figure out how I would get my T-shirt over my shoulders. I said no. So I take my shirt off, essentially. I'm going on a diet, Susan, I promise. I'm going to lose some weight.
You're the one who saw yourself on TV.
I said, so.
I wouldn't take my shirt off on TV.
So somebody sends
okay, maybe I would.
Somebody sends it back. They put Photoshop tattoos all over my chest.
Do you have a photo of it? Can we
I
see
do.
it?
No, I'm not going to show it to you. I'm not going to. You didn't see it. Too bad. You're out.
Oh, darn.
But I'm going on a diet. I promise. All right. And then somebody says, "Good thing you didn't have rings here."
Oh.
Then somebody who does a show here, he's about 6'2", 370.
Who's that?
David.
Yeah.
All right. So he said, "Michael, I'm going to take that image
Photoshop.
and mine, and we're going to put it on a T-shirt together." David, please don't, for God's sake. But I'll tell you, one of the things that we've learned about this is being open. All right. It's freeing. All right.
Yeah.
Because it's like you can do that. We're just like everybody else. It's no big deal. All right?
Yeah,
So
it's so true.
we-
I agree.
We just had the president of the NAACP Miami-Dade division here, and it was really a very soulful conversation, very emotional for me when he recognized the work that we are doing here, trying to bring people in being inclusive.
Right.
And
Which
when
you
hear
are.
s-
You're
yes.
so inclusive.
And when you do it, you just do it. And it's like it becomes a habit. It's not like, well, we got to make sure, because we already got over that part to making sure. So it's part of it. But to recognize and be able to have open conversations is what people want.
Well, also, Michael, when you do that, you're making yourself vulnerable to everyone. No one on Facebook right now, but to everyone watching.
Yes.
Right? Because you're saying, well, this is who I am, and no holds barred. And yes, maybe I need to lose a little weight, but I'm not afraid to take my shirt off. And hey, if you want to Photoshop my body with some tattoos, I think that people love that.
And that's what David Winker's about to do, to display it on a T-shirt. Sorry, Susan, it's already worked out.
But here's the bad news. That can go on Facebook.
Yes, I'm sure. So friends were writing in, "Michael, don't worry, the camera puts on another 20 pounds. I said, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think people want to have that open conversation and realize that we're just people. All right?
Yes, that's
we're
all
trying
we
to
are.
figure out where we go and all this. So let's talk about seniors if we can. All right? Because
Sure, that's my mission, as we
yes.
know.
So, we get old and, you live your life and all of a
Speak
sudden.
for yourself.
Yes. Well, soon, I've heard. Okay. So
The
what do we
end
have
of
here?
old age.
Okay. So, and I told you this is going to be an ADD thing. So when 2 months ago, you said to me, just like this, you started off, you said, "Michael, you know that seniors are having sex?"
Yeah, that's.
And
Who knew? I know.
And do you remember what I said?
do I have to wait till I'm 65?
Yes, something like yes, yes. So the big answer is no.
And then you said, just kidding, Susan.
So let's talk about, as people get older, they start, their thought process slows down. And they're not there, and then physically they slow down. And then lots of times people are wind up being alone, all right? And they need somebody that they can talk to try to get their stuff in order.
Right,
So-
that's true.
So let's say, somebody's, they need some help, all right? And they
Right.
don't know who to go to. What's type of services you provide or that other people provide that you can have input with?
Well, I like to think of my company, Parent Your Parents, as your first stop, because if I don't provide it, I'll find the person who does. It's really that simple. I found when I was working with mom and dad, there was not a one-stop shop anywhere. If you wanted to know anything about Medicare, you had to call Medicare. Everybody gets Medicare and Medicaid mixed up. They're two very different things. And also, because I'm an attorney, the other attorneys sort of feel as though they can call me simply because I'm an attorney. It's like, oh, she's a doctor, I can call her. You know what I'm saying? And so as a consequence, when a lot of these elder care lawyers have sort of gone through the process of the trust and estates, and then 20 years later, their client comes back, and now their client needs to go into a home or needs in-home care, needs some assistance with getting all their banking in order. Attorneys don't do that. But I'm sort of the Mikey of the group, Mikey from the serials, oh, let Mikey try it. So the attorneys, the elder care attorneys
I'm familiar with that.
Of course you are. So what the attorneys do is when they can't figure out what to do with their client, they go, let's try Francis. And that's really how it happens. And I've had several clients now who are all alone. I mean, this Thanksgiving, one of them is going to be at Miami Jewish, and they're going to do their best, but she has nobody, absolutely nobody.
So let's talk about, so you have elderly parents, and then you have children and grandchildren.
Right.
That's a pretty big tug.
It is.
Right?
It is. If
And
you're
then-
in the middle.
And lots of times people don't know what to do and where to go. When my father had a stroke, it's like, oh, what do I do?
Yeah, it's true.
Medicare, Medicaid is like, what is the difference? I don't like that. We're going to have to wait until December. But he's at this hospital. I wanted to go to that hospital. That whole process
Right.
is extraordinarily difficult.
And stressful, because you're not in control, right? In other words, there's not one person you can call. And so all of a sudden you're just so nervous about, is this the right doctor? Is this the right hospital? Who are these people? They're telling me this. They seem nice. And I can't tell you you have to trust your doctor, period. I mean, if you don't trust your doctor, find another doctor. It's especially the older you get. Even though I moved here 10 years ago, I still go back to Baltimore to my doctors because I trust them. They've known me. They have, these really thick files on me.
I keep going back to my pediatrician. He's not ready to give up.
No wonder you're waiting till 65 for sex. I'll give you a new doctor.
So it
Can't
is
you
stressful.
see? Hey, audience, can't you see Michael in those little chairs they have in pediatrician's office, trying really hard to sit in them? I just have that image in my mind.
Oh my God.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We digress.
Okay. So, and just a half an hour ago, sitting here crying I couldn't say anything as this guy's telling me, thank you for doing this stuff. It was like 30 seconds, 45 seconds. I'm trying to catch my breath and just like caught it at the right moment. So here, I'm delighted that we're here having a good time with this. So you have this, I forget what it's called, but you're in the middle trying to take.
You are. You're in the middle. You have kids who are the next members of society, and then you have your parents who were the member, who added value. And for my family, the good news is that, and this is really good news, is that I didn't have children. So I was the one it was easy for me to step in. And that was kind of made the other two feel better because they have children.
I'm going to give a personal experience, and maybe people can relate to this. My father had a stroke, blah, 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 blah. I said, okay, we'll move him into the house,
Your house.
my house. So we built him a room,
Okay.
all right? It was great, except for before we moved him in, my daughter wanted the room.
Oh, no.
So, all right, you got that so far? So
Yeah.
you know exactly that conversation, right? So then a couple of years went by, and it kept getting worse. The tension was bad. And it was really on me because when I'd leave in the morning, he would come with me. We'd have a driver take him around all day long
Right.
on our drop-offs. I mentioned before we lost him a couple times, all right? And then in the afternoon, I would take him home, and he would go directly to his room. He would stay there until the next morning. And that was the conversation. So I was restricted. And on the weekends, Saturday, all right, I wanted to go up, but he'd been in the room, and it was on me, right? I tried not to give it to the kids, right? But they were feeling it.
Yeah, yeah.
Kids are about this big. And one of them, through a middle person, said, listen, they got a problem with your father. I said, no problem. Called somebody that we're working with, and he said, how much money are you making? They tell me. I said, listen, all you have to do is take care of my father. Okay. We had a driver, bring him there, he stayed there, and that was good. Right?
Oh, okay.
But all the time that he was really close, it caused so much stress, and there was that pull that we're talking about. Okay, which way do you go?
It's true. And that's how assisted living centers came into being, because it's just so much for kids and grandkids to handle, more I think in our culture than others. The Latins somehow or another managed to do it, but I also think that, I mean, for instance, I don't have children, so of course I have long-term care, but I too am not going to like have someone. So the issue is going to be where I go, because just sitting alone in your apartment with people helping you, that's not going to get you anywhere, because all they're going to do is their job. They're not going to love you like you did your father. And as I recall, your dad couldn't speak. He couldn't communicate real well.
Money, 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 money. That was most of it.
How could I forget? So I think that's part of it too, because I'm a big proponent of having parties where everybody's included. I always talk about the Millers up in Baltimore. They have this huge party in December. It's just the end of year party, and you have to be drinking age or their drinking age. But I always say 21 to 95. And of course we won't have it this year, but last year there we were, and down at the vodka luge. Do you know what a luge
Tommy
is?
Probably does.
It's an ice sculpture, and you pour the vodka shot, and it comes down into your mouth.
And it's
Right.
nice and freezing
And so
cold.
I took Hannah. Hannah and I were doing it, and Hannah's like 81 or 82. And there we are, grabbing that vodka down the luge, along with the 22-year-olds down there. And I can tell you this, the 95-year-old sits down on a couch. We all go say hi to Stanley, and we talk to him for 2 or 3 minutes. And then we leave. Now, does he forget we were there? He does. But in that 2 or 3 minutes, you're having a good time. And for Stanley, I'm sure it's great watching all those little 22-year-olds in their little mini skirts. And then one of the guests is this guy who's been married, I don't know how many times, but it's always we count how many parties with the same wife. And so this party was a new wife. So we all met her. I mean, I feel sort of, I know. so it's fun, but I think part of the reason it's fun is because you come together in appreciation versus because you have to do it, because you feel as though this is my father, what can I do? Or this is my mother, what can I do?
So you also are a writer?
I am a writer.
And
yes.
by the way, folks, she writes in communitynewspapers.com. Here's some stuff, some stories. I think they've all appeared. Trusts and Wills. You wrote, what do Ben Carson's mother and a Miami-Dade policeman mother have in common?
That's right.
Wailing on the moon does not keep you from aging.
Right. Walking.
Oh, I can't read.
Wailing on the moon, because I knew it was Buzz Aldrin that we were talking
Oh, yeah,
about.
there we go.
And
Okay.
I have this image of Buzz Aldrin. Oh.
Speaking of that, how about the spaceship went up the other day? How great
Wasn't
is
that great? Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
what a feel-good moment. And, so SpaceX has their own videos going.
Yeah.
So I'm running back and forth between my phone and this one. It was really a proud moment.
It
for everyone.
was. It reminded me, I don't know if you remember, but we had sort of gotten used to these launches until Apollo 13, and there was a moment there where we weren't sure that Apollo 13 was going to come back. And then all of a sudden, it's a little like COVID, all of a sudden, you couldn't take it for granted anymore.
Yep.
And now, now I watch every time there's any kind of a liftoff with people in it, I'm like, oh my gosh,
How
oh
are
my
those
gosh.
spacesuits? Are they cool or what?
Yeah,
And they come out of the Tesla. So, it's an interesting thing about Elon Musk. Right? You look at him, you
He
go,
is
here's a guy
amazing.
20 years ago, almost. He talked about doing
This.
that. And oh, yeah, sure.
That's
Right?
exactly what I thought.
Of course. And so now, I just heard, and so they have the Teslas, all these battery-operated cars. And so Ford is saying by whatever year it was, they're going to have no more combustible engines. Mm-hmm. And who would ever thunk?
I know.
And-
In our in our lifetime.
So that means there could be less gas stations. They'll probably turn on to go
I
to grocery
know.
stores. Right? So
We already, in our condo, we already have those blink places, for cars, electric cars. Also, they have electric cars, hybrid cars. Yeah, it's there.
So my son has the Tesla. Mm-hmm. So he says, we went out someplace and he goes, just sit right here, I'll be back. So okay. So he goes inside. All of a sudden I'm sitting there. This car is moving.
Oh, no.
He was back and just to screw with me, going back and forth with his remote control. I go, I know it's him somewhere. He must be around. He must be laughing over there. As I'm going.
Well, Michael, are you going to do the driverless cars?
I think so.
You are?
Yeah, I think so.
I'll go after you.
Okay, so
I'm sort of scared of them. I don't know why. I've jumped out of planes. I've done a lot of
tell
things.
us about that. Why did you do that?
Was
Was
my
it a
mom-
perfectly good plane?
It was. That's what my sister says. Why are we jumping out? It was my mother's 80th birthday.
So what did that have to do with you?
Well, that's what she wanted. It was on her bucket list.
And what did that have to do with you?
I went with her
Oh,
and her 2 grandkids. And
Wow.
it was really
Tom,
funny.
did you hear this?
Yep.
Wow.
I'll bring the video. But it was only funny because mom was, that was the beginning of her dementia, in her late 70s, early 80s. But she was with us more often than not, right? So here's what happens. You go up about 15,000 feet. And you go through, they tell you can die. They do everything, right? Okay, so now
Did you say dive or die?
die. They tell you, they have to
Oh,
tell you
yeah.
you can die. Like a duh. If you're jumping out of a plane at 15,000 feet and you think you can't die, don't you think that's an issue? but nevertheless, so up we go, and mom's first because it's her birthday, and I'm right after her. And of course we have the videographer. So I'm behind mom, and all of a sudden there's kind of this kerfuffle with mom, right? She's
What do you call it?
Kerfuffle?
Yes, okay, kerfuffle. Okay.
Do you want me to spell it?
Is that a real word? Is it a,
It is a real word.
I've heard it before, all right, besides from you. But
At any rate, so I'm thinking to myself, what's going on, right? But then mom goes and I go. So now we're all down on the ground, and now we're watching the video. And here's what happened to Charlotte, my mother. What happened was, on the ground, they tell you, now when you get up there, look straight out. Just look out over the horizon and then jump towards the horizon. Okay, says Frances. But Mom had forgotten that in the 20 minutes it took us to get up to 15,000 feet. And she looks down, and you can see this look on her face like, what the hell am I doing up here? And she grabs onto the bars. And and the man who's taking her down is trying to take the hands off, and so she leans down on the videographer, and he just rolls back, so she'll have to fall. But it was so just and
Great.
when I write about it, I talk about Mother, the whole way up, she was just so animated, and oh yeah, no, I was a flight attendant, I worked for Pan Am, and I
She
can
gets up there, looks
yeah.
down, goes,
Oh my God, what am I doing? Whose idea was this? But it all worked out really well.
had you ever high jump before? High jump. I mean,
I did try high jumping in
I'm
high
sure you
school.
did. You weren't a horse jockey.
But but from that skydive, I've done 2 more because I promised both my godkids that I would take them skydiving. But I'm done with my skydiving. I'll tell you what's scarier than skydiving.
I'm waiting.
Trapezing.
What is that?
That's where you pretend, like you're in the circus, that trapeze up there, and people catch you. Look at Mike's face.
You did that?
I did.
Oh,
Listen,
my Lord.
I did it so often that I was even in doing tricks. Like they caught me by my legs one time, and
Where did you do that?
in Baltimore. Yeah, but they have it here in Miami.
You had a big family up there.
You do?
No, you did. No?
No, just the guy married.
And so where would you
And
go?
his family.
Where did you do that?
Oh, down in the Inner Harbor of Baltimore, they had New York Trapeze School, NYTS. It started in New York, and you learn how to go up, and you're on this little board all by yourself, and then you lean out and grab it.
You climb up.
Yeah, you climb up.
You don't
You're
go up by a
all-
plane. Right?
Yeah, yeah. They helicopter you down. Yeah.
Right. So you're strapped on so you can't fall.
Right.
You go to this little board.
Uh-huh.
And then you walk across. What?
You don't walk. You come from that
Yep.
ladder right onto this little platform,
yep.
and then you reach way out to get your the trapeze.
And what happens if you missed it?
Well, you grab a hold of it before you take off.
Okay.
Then what you have to do in a very short amount of time is swing, put your legs over, and let your hands loose
Tommy, you got this?
so that they can catch you.
Wait, so you're not strapped in?
Well, yeah, you have a
Yeah.
belt around here.
That's
yeah.
on some.
No, you fall into the net below.
Wait, you're on that thing by yourself, swinging across?
I was swinging across till he caught me. Yeah.
God, I'm gonna go home. Jeez. Wow.
I did that because I knew I was going to be skydiving and I thought it would be good preparation. But the truth is, because you do it by yourself, in skydiving you have the guy who takes you down. But when you're up there by yourself, it's like the pressure, And I took one girlfriend who was so scared of heights that all she ever did was just swing on it. It took them half an hour to get her to just swing on it. I'm lucky in that regard. I tend not to be so caught up in that, but.
So are you the kind of gal that would go like on this big mountain climb and you would have the camera and so that you would be showing the other people what the real climber's doing, but you say, no, I'm doing it better because I got a camera here too, right?
The GoPro.
Okay, yes. So what else? So skydiving, and you've done the trapeze.
Trapezing. I haven't done bungee jumping. I've never been in a place where I don't know, but I have done.
It's for you.
I have done waterfall, where you go underneath the waterfalls in Iguazu on the boat. I've done some of that sort of stuff. I like some adventures. I'm not a mountain climber. I couldn't care less about
So
losing my
in
breath.
my more adventurous days, it's Dunn's River Falls, I guess it's in Jamaica, so I'm climbing up.
Oh, yeah.
So you got to really keep your cool, right? They want you to hold hands with everybody on these slippery stuff.
Oh, my gosh.
So I'm going, I said, I think Chicken Little was right. And you know what? When I looked down that way, where I came from, wrong move. It's sort of like, just keep looking out there.
Yeah, just look out there.
And then I'm going, oh my goodness, just be cool. Just be cool. So what are the sort of adventurous things?
Well, how about zip lining? Have you tried that?
No, let's hear that.
Oh, my gosh, zip lining. Tommy, have you tried zip lining?
Costa Rica.
Yes, that is the best zip line to date. I've done it several other places, but that's my favorite. And there, you can go upside down. Did you do it? Yeah.
And it's so long, the trip down
It,
to the bottom.
it is. It's a really long trip, and you're going through these huge. I mean, it's a lot of tropical rainforest.
Jungle almost.
Yeah, but if you see through the leaves, you see that it's definitely a long way down. And then also, the Hawaii one. Have you done it in Hawaii? The Hawaii one was okay, but Costa Rica has the best zip line. Pura vida.
What have you-
Pura vida.
Okay, so zip line,
Bobsledding.
bobsledding, trapeze.
That's scary. Bobsledding's scary.
Skydiving. I have a friend.
I've been on the show.
Skydiver. He's a friend of ours, and he goes and he does like the Google thing. So he
Oh
and
my God, he's Mr. Google Earth?
so you could see what he's done. It traces you. He wears it,
Oh.
and then it shows him spinning like this on the computer, so you can say, "Oh, he did this way." He did this.
wow.
Really, sort of incredible.
Wow.
So Don Harris, I'm thinking of you. All right. So, all right. What else have you done? Went to law school, became a lawyer,
Went
played
to law
tennis.
school.
Was it badminton or tennis?
Tennis, yeah.
Tennis. How long did you play?
Well, until I divorced my first husband.
All right. You're on your second or fourth.
A second. But never say never.
All right. Right. So how long?
I have a girlfriend who's on her fourth husband.
So
How long till what?
how long did you play?
Tennis?
Yes.
But I mean, I was never that good a player. I was
Oh.
a ballerina.
Okay.
I was a ballerina for
ballerina.
a lot longer than I was a tennis player. I played for actually, I met him because I took a lesson from him. It was a blind date, but I went out there. And then I'm not really much of a sports person. I run, and now I do run walk. So I stay in shape, but if I have to depend upon other people to play a game, I'm not so good at that.
You like to do the single thing, not dependent. It's
Well,
just
I mean, in other words, if people want to join me, I'm sort of like that runner on Miami Beach, that they were always showing the dark-haired guy who runs and runs.
Yep.
And I mean, he's going to run regardless, right? But if you want to join him, he's happy to have you there.
There was a guy who would run marathons in his wingtips. All right?
Really?
Yeah. So it reminds me of the guy on the beach. He was just
Yeah.
running every day.
Yeah.
By the way, Frankie Ruiz, you familiar with Frankie? He's a big runner. At the organization, he's at Berlin. They're
Yeah, yeah,
national champs now. All right. He has this slogan, "Run Miami." He's a really tall guy, big arms. All right. So
Right. I know exactly who you're talking
Yeah,
about.
so
yeah.
he's going to be here in a couple days.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
And okay, so and then you practiced law for a while.
I still practice law.
Okay, I meant for a big organization.
Right. I always middle law firms, not more than 18 or 19, because I'm not a good corporate girl. You can probably figure out why.
No, I don't. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, I'm not a good corporate person at all.
Okay, so you started Parent Your Parents, right?
I
And-
did, yes.
And is that the website? Is parentyourparents.com?
Right, parentyourparents.com. Right.
And it's really sort of catchy because once you do it, it's like, oh, sort of like community news.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
Yeah.
It's an identifier, and then it's like you have that local stuff. So why did you do that?
Well, Mom and Dad. I mean, I owe the last part of my life to my parents, because when I started taking care of them, and when Mom really started becoming a burden on Dad, I just realized, oh my gosh, what do I do next? And you think it's pretty easy. You've read about it, we moved them into a home, blah, blah, blah. Exactly, but it's not. It's not easy at all. So in our case in particular, I just, I remember the day I probably told you this story before, but it was their long-term care, and the long-term care company had miscounted Mom's days, and all of a sudden quit paying, and it was $4,000 a month. And just quit paying. And they told us, oh no, she's run out of time. And so I'm like, run out of time? And I had to count, 2 years worth of those explanation of benefits that they send you. And guess what? I was right. And so I sent it to them. And they called me up and said, and put on they said, well, we really don't know what you're talking about, but we're going to get one of our senior guys on this. And the senior guy called me up, and then he did the counting, and I was right. And then they call me and they say, you know, we're very sorry. What can we, this is what they said. This never happens. What can we do? So I said, well, we just want to be reimbursed for the money, and stupidly said $15,000 instead of 25. And they said, okay, like so quick. I mean, I could tell they were really happy and I had the check within 48 hours, and that's when I realized that the only thing that doesn't happen with them is that they get caught at it. They do it all the time. They just don't get caught. Because unless you're the one paying, who's gonna count all those receipts?
Yes, and it's hard. At the minimum, just a standard bill is hard to figure out.
Right. So I said to myself, you know what?
Self.
Yeah, somebody's got to help these people.
Most people don't. For the most part, they're going a maximum of 4 times, so probably just twice.
Right.
And the first time, it was like, you know, where do you go? Who do you talk to?
Yeah.
Who is going to make this all happen?
Right.
So.
And listen, there's so many. I have one client who had a lot of really important artwork, and he was donating it to Penn State. And what had happened was Penn State had come down. It was his alma mater. Penn State had come down. But then this client sort of got sick and, you know, went in the hospital and doing this and doing that. So, and then when Penn State called him, he was sort of all over the place. So they were, oh gosh, you know, maybe he's not of sound mind and body. So I was recruited, I was referred into this, and it was the first time I'd ever had to find an art appraiser. I mean, guess what? Those are pretty big deals. Being an art appraiser is a pretty big deal. They can command a lot of money because it was $160,000 worth of art we were giving away. And so not only do I need a receipt for all of that, but then you have to have it packed in a certain way, blah, 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 and the whole gift thing. But the best part of this whole thing was that they come over, there were 17 pieces of art. They come over to pack them up, and so I'm there, and we're one short. I'm like, I'm sorry. And so we are going around. I said, look, just go. We'll find this. Then I look up the piece that we hadn't packed, and it was, of course, the most expensive piece in the collection. So I told his caretaker, I said, well, here's the bad news about stolen art. You'll lose your job, and I'll lose my law license unless we get this piece, because Miami-Dade doesn't handle it. The FBI does. And what had happened was Skip, because we're about 6 months down the road now, Skip, in one of his less lucid moments, sees that piece of art waiting, and he goes and he takes it and he hid it behind his bed table. And so no one saw, I mean, who looks for famous pieces of art behind bed tables? But I mean, those are the sort of things that you have to deal with. And every client is different. Yesterday, I went to see my sweet, wonderful client at Miami Jewish. And as I'm leaving, she says, I'm so lonely. No one comes. You know, that kills you.
Oh,
it
boy.
kills you. I'm not related to her. I've only known her a year and a half.
Okay. The rabbi's on his way.
Oh. I'm
To-
so
to bless
glad.
us.
Yeah, the rabbi who
Rabbi
someone saw
Harley.
him in New York, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Remember, I told anyone if they wanted angel, and I was open to angel investors.
So, you know, so part of this whole process is how do you deal with the parents' loneliness? All right.
Right.
COVID's going to be over, relative. You know, it's going to be over.
It's going to be over.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the question is for people that haven't been through it.
Mm-hmm.
What do they do? Right. And I had this terrible experience with my father's girlfriend didn't want me to visit
Him?
him. So I found out when she wasn't going to be there.
Oh, wow.
So I knocked on the door. Right, this is 100 miles from here. Hi, how are you, Michael? Ron's my father. Oh, come on in. Okay, great. Hey, Ron. You remember we couldn't talk very much. I'd given him a necklace, right, that I actually got for my 40th birthday, and that I'd run my first marathon. So I gave it to him, and he wasn't wearing it. So I go, okay. So they had separate bedrooms. So I went in his bedroom. I said, oh, here it is. Can I have this? Yeah, okay. So I took it, all right. Stayed there about an hour, all right. And I leave. I get a call from the police. You broke into her place? And I said, no, I didn't. I said, my father's not been declared incompetent, all right? It was his piece of jewelry that I gave him. No one asked me to leave. So I was not trespassing. If you think you got enough evidence, come get me. Call Grant. Grant, put together some cash. I think he did real soon. I swear. It was just like that. I went, wow. And so there are lots of those things that you never know were going to happen.
I know. I know.
And I'm just going to tell you, as he had his stroke, she had him sign this whole thing, all right? It took probably 10 years to get it, and at that point, it's a fight.
Yeah, then
Gone.
she left.
All right, but we did get some minor victory. Got
Yeah.
a judgment against her, and we waited 3 months. Bang, and got it. I don't have money for minutes. Don't talk to me. Speak to the attorney.
Yeah.
All right, and all that stuff can happen. All right, and
Does happen.
Yep.
It is the families, your trusted professionals. Those are the people who are the worst. Well, I told you the story about the socialite in New York. Astor, Brooke Astor. She'd given millions and millions away. And her grandson filed for guardianship because his father was stealing from his mother,
Yep.
Brooke Astor.
There's Rabbi
there's the
Yossi Harlan.
rabbi.
Okay, so
Well, I can see why he got money. I'd give him money.
so just right, a bod of Kendall and Pinecrest. All right. So we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for being here, Frances.
I want to be
You're
your favorite
always
filler.
yeah,
I want to be.
You are a lot of fun. People can find you at yourparents.com.
Right.
All right. And they can read all about you. All right. If they need to reach you, they can do that. Thank you very much.
It's so my pleasure, Michael. Thank
and
you.
happy Thanksgiving to you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
And Tommy,
you too,
thank
Tommy.
you. And folks, again, this is Live with Miami's Community News. Have a great day. Thanks for joining us.